And that might actually be the best way to start it. Like, hey guys, let's explain what we're doing here.
That was perfect. Yeah.
Do that again.
Yeah.
Oh no! Should I keep going on that? Oh,
I thought that was the.
No, I thought it was a pitch, but I mean, if the pitch was good, let's just go with it because this is still.
I think it's.
Oh yeah, no, okay. Sure, okay. No, I mean.
Oh, did we just ope each other?
Yeah.
Oh,
What? Oh.
Yeah, scooch right past you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, sorry. Pardon me. Excuse me. Oh, sorry.
Just trying to get over here to that potato salad.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Potato salad
can you
right now.
can you go ahead and pass me the Fairly KickAss podcast?
Oh, here you go.
How did that become one of our best intros ever?
I was just going to say, this is why they don't let me write intros anymore, because I come up with stupid shit like this, but apparently it worked. Because it's also been a really long time since we had to do an episode that we had to cut in half. I don't know if that's good or bad, though. Whether or not does it make us think that we have enough content in one idea to have to do 2 episodes because there's just so much, or is it because we just drone on and on and on?
It's that one. Oh, that's the one.
Absolutely that one. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, then what were we droning on about before we took the break that everyone else joined us with? Totally.
We were droning on about a topic that's very easy to drone on about, and that is the nominees, the 17 artist list of nominees for the 2026 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We have talked about 8 of those artists up until this point that you are listening right now. We have another 17 minus 8 artists. That's 9. I know how that works. Another 9 artists to go through. You don't have to do math to do a podcast. That's what the internet's for.
I was told there would be no math.
0 math. I was misled. But we've talked about, go back and listen to that episode if you haven't already. It's going to be more of the same. We discuss the bona fides of each artist. We tell you whether we think they will be in or not. We'll discuss the fan vote that each artist has and the shocks, the surprises of where some of these artists end up in the fan vote. And, we ended out with our official Fairly KickAss Hall of Fame ballot if we were to have had such a thing.
An interesting one going, because I'd love to see how this whole thing wraps up.
Yeah, that'd be pretty good. So let's move on and talk about whoever's next.
Well, we will see if our next artist ends up in the bottom 5, the top 5, or somewhere in between. Definitely in the top 5 in terms of the depth and the breadth of work, with 17 studio albums, that only second to Melissa Etheridge, in fact. 130 million in sales across a very long, very illustrious career. That number, 3rd on this list to the aforementioned Phil Collins and Mariah Carey. This artist with 4 nominations for the Grammy Awards, only 1 win. Despite their popularity and despite their enormous record sales, 0 hits on the US Hot 100, although they did have a number 1 hit on the UK singles chart with Bring Your Daughter to the Slaughter from back in 1990. Arguably the most traditional rock, quote unquote, artist on this list, Iron Maiden, is the rockiest going to get into the hall and shut up all of the old men yelling at the clouds?
No. And as a metalhead, I'm not voting for them either. Like that's one of those things. Like there's I can understand why they made the nominations list.
Sure.
Absolutely. They have an iconic thing, but I firmly believe, and this is a very weird take for a metalhead to have, and I'm aware of that. I firmly believe that they did not affect the pantheon of metal music as much as people want to think they did.
Interesting follow-up to that. They are not necessarily the influencer or innovator, but are they, would you say, closer to, they were the front of a wave of British metal?
Yeah, I guess. I will say that Bruce Dickinson in particular was iconic. His voice and what he was able to do. Like he had the clout and he had the push. And I know I'm getting crucified for this opinion. I absolutely know that. But I don't. So yeah, maybe that wave of British, but to think like that they really had an effect on what went down. I just don't believe that, because it happened in a time when, or just after a time when bands like, well, so Motorhead was already a thing. Metallica was already a thing. Iced Earth was already a thing. Like, it's not like what they did was new, and it's not like what they did was as popular as some of their other contemporaries. And they just had a slightly more, I don't know, aggressively power metal persona than some of the others.
I think that's kind of where I was going with that. Is they just the one that was able to catch the mainstream imagination because of it? Because would you say they deserved as much recognition under that wave of second wave of British heavy metal bands as did like Diamond Head or Lionheart or Tigers of Pantang when it came to actual right? Exactly.
Maybe.
Or are they just the only ones that caught on?
Right. Or are they just the ones that got the better marketing? Who knows?
For me, like, honestly, like I keep doing the shrug emoji thing. Like, for me, they fall into that same bit as Melissa Etheridge and NXS. You get put in the Hall of Fame. Cool. I have no argument. You're not my fave.
Well, perhaps something working for them and perhaps working against them is that this is their third nomination, non-consecutive, 2021 and 2023, their previous two. So I don't know if the voters look at that and say, maybe this is the time, it's been long enough, or if they say, oh, they haven't gotten in before, they're not getting in after this. It'll be interesting to see. I don't think that plays into the fan vote, but what does? Where do they land? Because I couldn't even throw a dart and venture a guess at this point.
The question is whether or not the third time is a charm doesn't affect the fans. They say no as they sit in 12th, just shy of 300,000 votes.
There it is.
Not really surprised.
Yeah, same. We will see if the third time is the charm for them, as well as our next band, who is also coming into their third nomination from 2023 and 2025 being the other two. And when I say band, I actually mean bands, because these two have kind of been tied at the hip, understandably so. They are kind of sort of the same band in a weird way. The voting populace does consider them as such, that being the combination, quote unquote, or I guess continuation of Joy Division into New Order. 12 studio albums between the two named outfits, two of those coming with Joy Division, the rest from New Order. Best I could tell, and I don't know if this number is right, I couldn't fact check it though, 3 million records in total in sales. I think it's possible that that's accurate, but after 12 albums, I need to do a little more research, but I could not find anything else besides that one number. So take that with a grain of salt, listeners. One Grammy nom, no wins between the two. Unsurprising that they would not have a US Hot 100 number one hit. They, much like Iron Maiden, did have one number one hit on the UK singles chart, that being World in Motion from 1990. Does this kind of conglomeration of two bands, are two bands better than one? Does Joy Division / New Order have a greater chance because of that? Or is it, just as big of a chance as they would have singularly?
Man, because as you mentioned that their main area of influence or area of popularity would have come through in the UK and may not have been strong enough to catch on here, I would say probably not.
Yeah.
I would say they have a better shot at literally being inducted, both groups, in the musical influences category, because you're talking about a group that has a massive amount of influence on two different movements throughout the 80s and into the 90s, between the post-punk that was Joy Division and then the electronic and new wave that came out of New Order, and probably directly helped lead to that whole Manchester scene in the 80s and early 90s, which is a whole nother subject to get into down the line. I don't think they do it here, though.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. Despite the fact that the only difference between the two acts is Ian Curtis, I think that's an important distinction to make as well.
For sure.
Sure.
But I feel like, you hit the nail on the head. They're an influence act. I feel like they had a huge impact on the music. So again, I feel very deserving of a spot in the Hall of Fame, but I don't believe that they will.
Because it almost has to be both, right? It has to be influence and popularity kind of in maybe not equal doses, but it's tough if you don't have both.
And I feel like they do have the popularity in very niche circles, right? Like,
For sure.
like I feel like if you were a Misfits fan, you were a Joy Division fan, and if you are a Depeche Mode fan, you are a Joy Division fan, and if you like, there's very specific things where Joy Division is that icon, that popular thing, but it's not everybody.
And I feel like for me, at least, like that would be such a nail in the coffin for them, especially with like the fan vote. Looking at this list before even knowing what the fan vote is, I would have put them in dead last. Not anything derisive or chiding at all, just from a fan perspective, I feel like they would have been that final 17th out of 17 slot. Dan, how wrong am I? Are they number 1 or 2, or where the heck are they?
No, you're pretty much dead on. They're 16th out of 17, just shy of 175,000 votes.
Yeah. I voted for them once. Out of my 2 votes, I voted for them once.
1 out of 2 ain't bad.
Again, on influence.
On influence. We are going to talk about influence quite a bit with our next act, because you could argue that this act influenced an entire genre that took off to some extent in the mid to late 80s, and then to a much greater extent once we reached the late 90s and into the 2000s. This act, with their very first Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nomination on the wings of 7 studio albums, 20 million in total sales. We continue the string of 1 nomination for the Grammys and no wins. Despite how popular this act was, at least how popular I remember them being, 0 hits on the US Hot 100. We continue the string of 1 singular hit on the UK singles chart, that being the iconic bop, maybe one of the very first bops, that being Candy Girl from 1990. The prototypical boy band new edition. Are they in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Yeah. But here's my problem. So I did not vote for them, and it has nothing to do. I do think they have the influence. I do think they have the legacy. I think the songs have the longevity, even if they didn't have the popularity in the moment, or at least the charting popularity in the moment. I refuse to vote for Bobby Brown.
Fair. 1,000% fair.
I'd put Belle Biv DeVoe in before I put Bobby Brown in.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those unfortunate things that is always going to be a topic of conversation in the history of popular music, especially in the early days. It seems like if there's an influential and important song from the very beginnings of rock and roll and what we consider rock and roll, it's like a coin flip whether or not the artist that performed it and made it popular was a real piece of shit.
Yep.
So, like, I'm with you, especially since you can draw a direct line from where they were into New Jack Swing, which one of the best parts of the early 90s, as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely.
And then through all the way to the boy bands of the late 90s. Like, it's a name that you wouldn't be the first one on your lips when you asked, where are the roots of the boy band, or where are the roots of like the pop music of like 3 running generations, but they are there.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah. If they're not doing it in Roxbury, then New Kids on the Block aren't doing it in Dorchester or Deuster, if you will.
They probably could have gone ahead and just taken the whole city of Boston for themselves if they wanted to, and maybe they should have.
Maybe they should have. As we just lose not that we had like ones of listeners to begin with, but any of them in the Massachusetts area.
if an anti-NKOTB stance was the one thing that drove them away from this, I applaud your patience and longevity, honestly.
That was the cudgel that finally drove them away.
Right.
It's fair. We accept it. Does the American voting public accept a new addition in the fan vote?
Yes, they do, and way more than we do, as they are the current vote leader with 758,000 of 6.8 million votes currently.
I don't understand that at all.
Makes no damn sense.
Right. But is it enough to
whatever.
get art? Well, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
And again, if that's enough to push them over the top, that's fine. Like, again, I'm with you on this. I no way am mad if they get in.
Right.
Okay, except for the one thing, but like as musical artists.
Yeah, it's so hard to separate, where those lines are for each of us it's tough. It really is.
I was like, can we just change the nomination, make it Belle Biv DeVoe and Levert, Sweat, and Gill separately, and then just leave him out?
Shout out LSG, dude. They didn't get enough respect.
I know two of those guys aren't part of this group. I'm just saying.
No, but it's okay. Let's just lump them all. Like they're sort of a spinoff. They are now part of the grander New Edition verse.
It's lore,
Look at what
man.
you started. Look at what you've started.
Oh,
wait. Does that mean indirectly ABC, another bad creation, is involved here?
Yeah, why not?
This is just like the MCU of like early 90s R&B acts, and I'm here for it.
Like, I think it becomes another bad creation, Belle Biv DeVoe, Levert, Sweat, and Gill, Boys to Men. This is the universe, right? It's like My Little Pony now. We just have to give them all cute names.
What more do you need in your musical podcast than this content right here? Well, we at least know that our most frequent special guest host would absolutely be voting our next artist into the hall, which is a dead giveaway for anyone who has heard any of our episodes with the awesome Lisa in them, exactly what band we are going to talk about. This is their third consecutive Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nomination, 7 studio albums, 100 million in sales, and a very, very robust take from touring as well. 2 Grammy nominations, no wins for them, at least not as of yet. No number ones on the US Hot 100, not surprising as they are beloved in their native United Kingdom, where they have had 8 overall number one singles on the UK singles chart, including, some might say, in 1995, The Importance of Being Idle in 2005, and sandwich in between those, Don't Look Back in Anger in 1996. Is Oasis going to look back at anger at the voting populace if they don't get in, or are they going to look back and smile when they are sitting enshrined in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
They probably should look back and smile because they have that huge influence from all around the world. Absolutely. We got to remember that thing. Some might say that's where they enjoy their most, morning glory, but like it's going to be a weird thing to position from the American point of view because they're technically a one-hit wonder here.
Yeah.
Here. Everywhere else, they're rock gods. We got to remember that. The important thing that you pointed out as well is that they, in fact, are one of the most successful touring acts from their heyday and the reunion, partially because they have such a huge following over literally everywhere. Well, in here they do too here, obviously, but all over the world. And for much of the stretch of their touring things, I imagine half the crowd was there to see if they would just beat the shit out of each other right there on stage in the middle of the show.
The answer is yes.
Which is also as much of a draw as the music itself.
True.
So, whatever.
I agree. I think this is probably their year, and it probably should be their year. They have that whole package, right? It's influence, it's popularity, it's longevity, it's all of that. And to the other point you made, cultural conversation, positive or negative, is still conversation, right? There's the no such thing as bad press thing. I think we can make an argument from our previous talking point on the last artist, but I think in their point, like it's just talking about them and it kept them alive, and they're absolutely deserving of it. And I think this is the time to do it.
Yeah, it's they say third time's a charm for a reason. We've already said it. I think that is absolutely, in this case, maybe not in every case, but I think in this case that is absolutely going to play well into their favor. I would consider them one of the few, dare I say, locks on this list. I'm going to look like a fool when they're like nowhere near the actual inductee ceremony. But is America also going to look like fools? Where are they currently sitting on the fan voting?
Well, you and the Gallaghers might want to reach for the cigarettes and alcohol to cope, because they are sitting in 15th with just over 200,000 votes.
I hate this so much. Oh, gosh. I'm just going to say whatever the opposite is, I feel that the fan vote is, and I'm probably going to be right. I think that's served me well so far.
I'm enjoying watching you attempt, though, because it's like you're bowling with sausages or something. Like there's no chance of you having an accurate guess.
What an image.
That's the greatest metaphor I think we ever come up with on the show.
Oh, we gotta like market that somehow. We gotta trademark that. It'll be the next pickleball.
There's an absolute t-shirt for that, though.
Oh shit. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. We move to our next potential entrant to the Rock Hall. First time nominee. I want to say there were 7 first time nominees on this list, and this artist is one of them. 9 studio albums, 60 million in sales, also a very robust touring revenue, very similar to Oasis in that way. 21 Grammy nominations, only 3 wins, which feels very low considering what this artist has done in the music industry. We have 4 total number 1 hits on the US Hot 100, including 2008's So What, 2010's Raise Your Glass, and I don't even want to say arguably. I feel like there is no argument that she was the very best part of Lady Marmalade in 2001, as well as Just Give Me a Reason in 2013. One of those is arguable. One of them is not. Nate Roos, as much as I love fun, you ain't Pink, bro. You ain't Pink. Nate Roos not up for an induction in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but does Pink have a chance to make it into the very short list of musical artists?
I think here and in one of the artists that's coming up that we're going to talk about, I think this is where I become the old man yelling at clouds. This is a recency bias where I do feel like this is too new. This is to say that Pink has had an impact on the musical lexicon, to say that she's had an influence over how music has developed. She's got the popularity part, she's got the persona, but I don't think that we'll know what her impact is for years now. Like, I don't think that it's that time. I don't think it's there.
I think I have to agree that this may not be the year. I think you make that popularity argument easy. However, there's another level to that, and I think it's also her impact as a songwriter. Yeah, which is I was trying to dance around to look up to see how much of these, and she has a lot of songs that don't belong to her that are on this list.
That's fair.
So she's at least one of those who's been working behind, writing hits for others as she's working behind the scenes. But yeah, I think yes, but not now.
Yeah, and I can accept that argument. Like, if she does get in, I think it is on the back of what she's done in the music industry, not so much what she's done with her own songs. I don't suppose that matters much to her if she's inducted into the Hall of Fame. She's in the Hall of Fame.
Right. That's fair. That's fair.
But just from an outside perspective, I don't think it is happening.
Do you feel that she's one that if she doesn't get in, we see a little bit of a gap before her next nomination for that reason?
I mean, that would help my bias. I don't know if that's reality for anybody else, but maybe.
Because I'm sure there have to be campaigns and, lobbying in the metaphorical and in the actual sense for certain artists to at least get the nominations, and then of course to be able to reach that voting threshold to get in the first place. So, I wonder if there is a strategy to that. If you do say, like, if I don't get in this year, let's get with my agents, get with my team, my PR team, and let's give this another really strong run in 2028 and 2029.
No idea how that works.
If you are a part of the, if you vote for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, we would love to talk to you. We have nothing to give you in return. But with that hard sell, please hit us up.
Yes, absolutely. We believe me. Not only that, but we would love to work to have a collective vote in this. I feel like eventually we're going to get to this point, since we're going to have a number one country album soon that will be in the industry. And hopefully they'll maybe not get 3 ballots. That might be asking too much, but 1 for the show.
The fairly kick-ass vote.
Exactly. We're working on putting a collective ballot together here tonight. We can continue to do this and make it official.
I'm just saying, if Dan Le Batard can buy a vote to the Baseball Hall of Fame, certainly we could pull something off for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, right?
Frickin' men.
Where are the voting, not the voting public, the public, the capital P public, where are they standing on Pink?
Oh, the voting public don't have this recency bias, but they do have the popularity bias, as Pink sits 3rd in voting at 611,000 of 6.8 million votes.
And that absolutely makes sense, with Pink being one of the, as y'all were saying, one of the more recent artists, not recent in terms of albums being put out, but recent in terms of meaningful parts of her career still happening. Like, that career is still very, very much active and very much flourishing. So yeah, it will be interesting to see where she ends up when all is said and done. We do have another multiple time nominee coming in next, and someone with their 2nd nomination, with the first one just a little bit of the gap from 2024 to 2026. 6 studio albums, 80 million in sales. Very, very strong batting percentage for the Grammys specifically, with 9 nominations and 4 wins, nearly batting 500 there. Very, very impressive. No number 1 hits on the U.S. Hot 100 chart, but 2 on the U.S. Adult Contemporary chart. I believe that's the first U.S. Contemporary, the second U.S. Contemporary chart mention that we've had today. The Sweetest Taboo from 1995, and the much greater hit Smooth Operator from 1984. I think I said 95, I meant 85. As well as 1 number 1 hit on the U.S. R&B chart, being Paradise from 1988. Sade, yes or no in her second go around?
I'm gonna say no, probably not. But I don't have an argument for that one.
Fair. I mean, I didn't realize they sold that many albums over their very long career. I am also very surprised that Smooth Operator was only number 5.
Yeah.
Because again, that seemed just like a song that was just kind of enigmatic of, here is one of the banner songs for what you would call sophistopop, which kind of reigned in the background for about 5 years in the 80s. I am very surprised about that. And obviously, I think the thing that sets this band apart is their lead singer and Sade Adu. So I think that's sort of why everyone thinks of it. It's why everyone thinks that when they say Sade, it's just her, not referring to the entire band. And don't feel bad when you think about that, because I learned that 5 minutes ago doing research in the background. Like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
And I was very interested in that as I was kind of putting these intros together, because I had always looked at Sade as the person and not as the group.
Right.
I don't know how the voting public looks at that. I'm assuming it is Sade the band that is being nominated and not the individual, but I'm not certain about that.
Yeah, it is.
Very cool. Yeah, very, very cool is such a great description of this music. Sophistopop. I'd never heard that, but that just nails it. That absolutely nails it. Is America also a fan of Sophistopop? Where does Sade rank amongst the other nominees?
Interestingly enough, yes, they are. She sits in that gold zone 6th with just under 464,000 votes.
Very nice. Very nice. So a real shot there. Oh, it's going to be so fun to see like which ones of these artists, maybe the more unexpected artists, which I don't at all say derisively, like some artists you just don't expect necessarily to make it to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because of that more traditional quote unquote rock and roll barrier. So yeah, very excited. Well-deserved if the band does make it. We move to our final three, and all three of these are first-time nominees, but all three of them are also very powerful names for different reasons in some cases. The next artist with 12 studio albums, 125 million in sales, an even better batting average than Sade with 7 Grammy nominations and 4 wins, so batting over 500 overall there. One U.S. Hot 100 single, and I stress the U.S. part, and you'll see why in a minute, listeners, that song being 2006's Hips Don't Lie, but also, a true legend in the Latin music scene, that being, of course, Shakira. Is this, the more international flair of Shakira, the international stardom, an absolute superstar in Latin music. Let's just not mince words there. Is it enough to get her into the U.S. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
My guess is probably not. I'm on the fence about whether or not that should be the case. I really don't know. This is a tough one because you can acknowledge, the beast of a industry icon that Shakira is. And then as of this recording, I just watched Zootopia 2 like 2 days ago. And her song that's in that is ass. So like it's a tough call for me. Like from my perspective right now, having just listened to that this recently, I'm going to say no.
Yeah. And I do quickly want to just kind of touch on something that I'd said with the U.S. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I should have phrased that as the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame that happens to be physically located within the U.S. There is no American criteria for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and nor should there be, because music doesn't have national boundaries, which is what makes it so beautiful. Obviously, it affects voting, sure, but by no means is there any kind of qualifications from a national or international standpoint.
And to reiterate, same thing goes with the fan voting. It's just much easier to say. It's all for that one's for presentation. I believe they take votes from worldwide, so that is music fans in general voting for the fan votes for the Rock Hall. Yeah. I'm going to put her on the not this year list, but I also think that it's kind of one of those, once she does get inducted, that it should happen as the queen of Latin music. It should eventually happen, and then you will have another handful of other Latin American artists come through. Sort of like, I don't want to say they were the first hip hop group, but sort of how Run DMC's induction opened that door, and more people were willing to vote for other hip hop artists. Once I believe it was Run, once they finally got in, there was like, well, we have to start looking at everybody else now, which is about time. The other reason I don't want to really mentally want to put her in there is to realize that Laundry Service is 25 goddamn years old.
Don't.
And I just felt like another patch of gray break out in my beard. And before that, she also had her debut record was 1990. So she's been at this a very long time, a lot longer than I think anybody realizes, probably, obviously, because her English crossover wasn't until 2001. But she's sort of been a pop staple since then. Like every couple of years, she'll find something else, make an explosive impact, and then kind of continue into the next phase of things.
For sure.
I also may have traveled down a rabbit hole of her ex-husband's creating. Didn't realize he was also like the founder of a worldwide 7-on-7 soccer league that like sounds interesting enough to check out, and that has nothing to do with anything here. That just found that as a thing.
It was an interesting point, just to back up a little bit with what you said, with this being, the kind of the artists that might bring other similar artists, other Latin artists at the very least to the nominee list, and hopefully to the inductee list as well. I would love to see Selena get in. That would be absolutely amazing. Does America agree that this is a good choice? How is America voting for one Shakira?
I think America might feel very similar to that we do, and has her just a bit outside, sitting in ninth place with just shy of 416,000 votes right now.
Yeah, I'm curious if there have been any movements and shakes, and obviously we don't know the history of the voting, but if New Edition has been kind of at the forefront the whole time, if they've been overtaken at any point. And we'll see how this fan voting ends too. We'll certainly report back once it's over and let you know how it finished up.
Yeah.
We are getting closer to finishing up, and our second to last, our penultimate artist, selfishly, is my very favorite artist on this list, and one of my very favorite artists of all time. So I am certainly going to be well in favor of this person being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and I'm curious to hear how both of you feel. Again, first time Hall of Fame nominee, 13 studio albums with 25 million in sales, 33 Grammy nominations, just barely nudged out by Mariah Carey's 34 for the tops on this list. 8 Grammy wins, which is actually tied for the most on the list with Phil Collins and Lauryn Hill. No U.S. Hot 100 number one hits, but was an absolute behemoth on the U.S. R&B and hip hop charts back in the 80s and into the 90s. Quick sampling of that gives you Never Too Much from 1981, the darling at many a wedding of the late 80s and into the 90s, Here and Now, and from 1989, and the lovely duet with Gregory Hines, There Is Nothing Better Than Love, from 1987. Of course, I'm talking about the golden voiced maestro himself, the late, great Luther Vandross. What say ye, gentlemen?
Yes.
I like it.
Yeah, an unequivocal yes.
Yeah, keep it simple. He's, shy of, I think I rank him third on this list as far as what I would consider shoo-ins. Wow. I think Phil Collins, Mariah Carey, and Luther Vandross.
I don't know what to add to what you said. He's absolutely, hands down, one of the greatest voices of all time, of ever. And usually at least once a year, the man makes me cry like a baby. So I have absolutely no problem when that, of course, is naturally the One Shining Moment montage. And then quite often whenever I hear Dance with My Father. So honestly, it's not even a question.
Yeah.
There was that one weird year where they did One Shining Moment with a different artist. I don't even remember who it was. It doesn't matter. It wasn't Luther Vandross.
Well, actually, the first version that got used was Teddy Pendergrass. Random year you're referring to, and the reason that was only 1 year was Neo. And I don't have anything against Neo, but he shouldn't have done that.
He should not have done that. We've sang Neo's praises on this podcast before. We'll probably do it again.
Yeah, and I know it wasn't necessarily him. And thankfully, they kind of, I don't know if you remember how they tried to position it, because it was Turner's first year in 2016 of having the national championship game. Mm-hmm. And they knew there was probably going to be some backlash, so they let Chuck do a parody version in commercials leading up to the tournament. So that might have softened the blow a little bit of having Chuck, I think Charles Barkley, do One Shining Moment.
Oh, heavens. Listeners, heed this as a warning to all of you. If you are ever approached to replace Luther Vandross in the One Shining Moment montage after the college basketball championship game, decline. It doesn't matter how much money you're being paid to do it. It's not worth it to risk your reputation over.
Yeah, remember, kids, just say no.
Just say no to One Shining Moment. Truer words have never been. We're basically Dare at this point.
We're Dare for covers. Hang on. I gotta write something down because there's an idea in that.
Where? I'm here for whatever it is, obviously. Well, while you're writing it down, I'll see if I can segue into the fan vote. Do the fans dare to put Luther Vandross high on their list, or does he reach the more bottom parts of the fan vote?
Oh, hell yeah, he's up there. Right now, he's currently sitting fourth with 545,000 votes, where he rightfully belongs.
Yeah, that's where he should be.
Well done. Well done, voters. We've reached the end of the road, gentlemen. And that does not mean Boys to Men is a part of this. Although
Yeah, where do they get nominated? Let's go.
Yeah, they'd be an insta vote for me.
Yeah.
This group, and I say group with a lot of emphasis because there's a lot of group to this group. In fact, the three of us were just talking about this group not too long ago, right before we started recording. 7 studio albums, which is a bit of a misnomer because each member of this group has also had a fairly illustrious and fairly influential solo career of their own. Same thing with 7 million in sales. That is probably accurate, but it does not tell the whole story. A Grammy nomination, no Grammy wins. This group is not necessarily the one that is going to be the Grammy darling. And, you know, I think that's okay. I think that's okay for what they are, for how influential that they are and that they have been in the music industry for so long. I, of course, am talking about, I'm not even going to name them all because we'd be here for a year. It's the Wu-Tang Clan. Their very first nomination, will it be their last, meaning that they're going to get in to the Hall of Fame? Hopefully it won't be their last if they don't get in, but if they do get in, yeah.
I say it should be their last because they should get in this year. I feel like they might be that last coin flip of a nominee because you can't, I mean, you can't recognize East Coast hip hop and not have them as one of that, again, that upper echelon.
They're a tenant. Yeah, they're a pillar. 100%.
And we're talking about influence, just tons and tons of that, not just on the amount of careers that each individual member has gone on to do, but also everyone who was affiliated with them. And then obviously everyone who was inspired by them. Like, it's without a doubt they need to be recognized.
Absolutely. 100%. This would be the number 4 on my list as far as like the shoo-ins. To me, there's no question about it, right? Like, you know, you talk about even if we're nominating one iconic rap outfit per year to get nominated, you know, and we're looking at the progression of things. If you got Run DMC and then Tribe Called Quest, and Wu-Tang Clan is the next logical pick as far as influence, popularity, and just being legends. This is it.
Can y'all imagine, because every inductee gets essentially a musical performance when they are inducted, just a kind of a covers performance of all their music. Like, think of how absolutely hype the Wu-Tang Clan Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction performance will be. I'm salivating.
Yeah, I'm here for that. That's what I want.
The very best artists will be like clawing and scratching at each other to try to get on that bill. Like, that will be the hottest ticket in the city, in the country, in the world.
I have had the pleasure of having seen Method Man and Inspector Deck live together, and I've also had the pleasure of meeting Ghostface Killah and Jizza in person. But and they're just good dudes, as well as just like their performance at its core. And that goes for their studio recordings. That's their live performances. Like, they are the meat and potatoes, man. Like, they are performers. And I don't think there's anybody else on this list that is more deserving than they are of this kind of recognition.
I think I got to agree.
100p.
Well, the three of us are in agreement, but we have to ask for the last time, is America in agreement with the three of us?
They are so very much nearly with us. When I said that there was going to be that cut line, the Wu-Tang Clan aren't it in eighth, a mere 4,000 votes behind Billy Idol as it sits right now. That doesn't feel right to say that that's the order. Like, honestly, that should be flipped, but that's just me.
Yeah.
Again, we will report back when I don't know when the voting closes. I'm not sure
when the voting closes. I know that inductees will be announced somewhere in mid-April, and then I believe in the fall will be the actual ceremony. And I don't know if it's supposed to be, if it's in New York or if it's back in Cleveland, because I know they go so many years alternating.
Oh, that's right. I forget that they do it in New York sometimes too. Well, we will certainly be bringing you that once that poll ends. I will certainly be bringing you coverage of some sort once the nominees are converted into inductees. We'll definitely make sure to have super special guest host Lisa in probably before that. I'm sure we'll have something relating to perhaps something relating to Eurovision. We'll see. This might get cut if we don't do anything Eurovision-y, which would be understandable considering the circumstances of that particular event. But either way, we will definitely bring you the goods as it relates to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Before we bounce, Dan, I know we were compiling our, kind of FKA official ballot. Where did we end up on that front?
It wouldn't be a thing if we didn't have to argue about it at the very end. So I believe, just in reading the room, we have 5 spots filled, and we have 5 groups that I think could vie for those final 2 spots. So the groups we have in, without a doubt, Luther Vandross, Wu-Tang Clan, Oasis, Phil Collins, and Mariah Carey.
Love it.
The 4 that I noted as being worth arguing for those final 2 spots would be the Black Crowes, Billy Idol, In Excess, New Edition, and Sade. So 5, because I could totally count.
Man, it's tough. I think given those 5 for the 2 spots, believe it or not, I'm probably going Billy Idol and Sade.
I think we can go ahead and give one of them to Billy Idol then, because I was going to say Billy Idol and Black Crowes.
Okay.
Dan, are you casting the deciding vote, or are you throwing us a curveball?
No, because I look at it and I would probably go Black Crowes and Sade.
God, you fucking
we'll call it 8 votes, and that's our 3.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
That's fair. Get an extra.
Since we don't know exactly if it's 7 or 8, we'll call it 8.
There we go.
Sometimes it's 8.
So both of them in there, and then New Edition and In Excess, and everybody else can get in another year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There will be more nominations in 2027, and some of the names you hear will be repeats. And there will certainly be a good crop of new nominees as well that we get to talk and argue about. So super excited to do this again in about 12 months' time.
Love it.
Until then, any parting thoughts to the people before we do that, because I know how this podcast works, at Fairly KickAss. I'm just ready to dip. I'm like, producer Nikki is like cooking dinner. It smells fabulous. And I'm just like already eating in my head.
I got to get out of here. I got to stop talking to these assholes.
At Fairly KickAss on Blue Sky, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok, fairlykickass.com. Fairly KickAss at, I should tell you what fairlykickass.com is. It's our website. We have a website. It's fairlykickass.com. We do have some ride-along playlists there. I feel like a ride-along playlist for this would be weird, and we might put something together, but TBD on that one. We still have others that you can enjoy in the meantime. fairlykickass@gmail.com. You know what that is. That's just electronic mail. Send it to us. Let us know if we can purchase your Rock and Roll Hall of Fame vote for the low price of $0. We would definitely be interested. So please hit us up, and definitely hit us up in terms of other episodes of this here podcast where you can hear wherever you get your podcasts. Go check out anything. I think we got 2 listens on iHeartRadio for the first time just this past week. So if you are one of those 2 people listening on iHeartRadio, thank you so much. Tell your friends, have them tell their friends.
Please do. We absolutely fit in there. We are, in fact, guaranteed human.
You will not find a stitch of AI on this podcast, for sure.
Who's got the money for that?
Yeah, seriously. Now, boys, do you have any parting thoughts before we call this one?
You'd think I would,